Hey, boys and girls, today I want you to go grab your Time for Kids issue entitled Wild Crossing, and we are going to read together the main article on pages 4 and 5 entitled Safe Travels. If you don't have it, pause this video real quick and then go grab a copy. All right, boys and girls, I am going to, you're going to follow along with me while we look on my screen here, and I have the online version of the article, but it is the same as the article that you are reading in front of you. All right, so if we look, boys and girls, today, safe travels, people are building roadway crossings to protect animals from vehicles. And I saw some of these when I was out west a few summers ago, and they're really incredible. So I'm excited that we get to learn and talk about them today. Right, so we're going to look right here at our first paragraph, starting with Patty Garva Darda. What a name. All right, track with me. Remember, that makes you smarter. All you got to do is just move your eyes back and forth across the page. Patty Garvey Darda loves pikas, which are small animals related to rabbits. Does everybody see this a positive here? She did pikas, comma, which are small animals related to rabbits. That's a positive. I think they are about the cutest animals alive, she told Time for Kids. Garvey Darda is a wildlife biologist with the United States Forest Service. She wants to protect pikas and other creatures from a common threat, vehicles. The Federal Highway Administration says more than 1 million roadway accidents involving animals happen each year in the U.S. These collisions hurt wildlife and people. All right, I want you to think, why is Patty Garvey Darda quoted here? When we have quotes, that's one of our signposts. We have to think, why is she quoted here? Is she a witness? Has she watched lots of cars crash into animals? Or is she an expert? If we look right here, it tells us that she's a wildlife biologist with the United States Forest Service. Ergo, she is an expert. Good job, boys and girls. All right, we also, if we look down here, have some numbers and stats. It tells us that each year more than 1 million roadway accidents happen involving animals. Okay, so that, even though it's not written in numerical form, it's written out word form, is a number and stat. More than 1 million. That's a lot, right? All right, we come down here, we look at our picture. Oh, poor baby deer. I'm glad they're stopped, right? Look at our caption here. Car stop for a deer as it crosses a street in Boulder, Colorado. All right, so we are moving on in our story. One solution to this problem: wildlife crossings. In the US and around the world, bridges and underpasses are being built to help animals safely cross the road. Now this, I think, what? Bridges and underpasses are normally for humans, which are an animal, but that's not what they're talking about here. So this is something different and new that they're going to tell us about. I get my brain organized to learn about this idea of bridges and underpasses, which is the new idea here, right? When they write an article, generally they're going to share with you something new, and you need to be aware of what that is so that your brain is ready to think around that topic. Global solution. Banff National Park in Alberta, Canada is home to some of the most successful wildlife crossings. Completed in 2014, the crossings include 38 underpasses and 6 overpasses or bridges. They prevent the park's animals, such as grizzlies, bears, and cougars, from being struck while crossing the Trans-Canada Highway, which bisects the park. According to the Parks Canada, Banff's crossing system has reduced collisions with wildlife by more than 80%. All right, so lots to unpack here, boys and girls. So we know in this one park in Banff, they have built 38 underpasses and 6 overpasses for a total of 44, good math, Miss Boone will be proud of you, ways for animals to cross this Trans-Canada Highway safely, right? And it tells us that this bisects the park. If we look later on in our article at our power words, it tells us that bisect means to divide into, it should be very easy for you because of all your Latin root knowledge, to divide into 2. So at some point in the park, this Trans-Canada Highway runs through somewhere like the middle of it and cuts the park into 2. If animals want to get from this side to this side, they have to cross this highway, which is obviously very dangerous. So now they've developed these bridges and underpasses to help with that. All right. It has reduced the collisions with wildlife by more than 80%. What does reduced mean? Exactly, made less. So that's crazy, right? By 80%. That means if there were 100 animals that got hit every year, now it's down to just 20, right? It's reduced it by 80%. That's another number in stat, and we see that that's a big number in stat. That's a big change. That's a big reduction to this big problem. That's awesome. Okay, here we go. Oh, look at the baby bear, the mama bear and the baby cubs. It says a mother bear and 3 cubs walk on a bridge meant for vehicles. In Fallon, Montana. More quoted words here. People study the effectiveness of crossings in Banff. The guide for new construction projects, says Rob Ament. He works for the Western Transportation Institute at Montana State University. Ament notes Banff's high quality of design, which includes fencing to direct the animals away from the road. Okay, and then here we have a really pretty picture of one. Pretty cool. It's beautiful out there. Success story. Banff National Park in Alberta, Canada is a model for wildlife crossings around the world. What does it mean that it's a model for wildlife crossings around the world? Think on that. Is everybody going to build theirs exactly like this? No, right? But it's an example for other people to follow because theirs has worked so well. Ament uses his expertise on wildlife crossings for a project in Assam, India. One of the state's highways is on the border of Kaziranga National Park. Elephants, rhinos, and tigers live there. Animals leave the park to go up a dry hill during monsoon season. Ament says that means they have to cross a highway. Plans are in the works for a safe pathway beneath it. All right, so if we look again at our power word here, monsoon, we know that monsoon is a period of wind and heavy rain. We don't have monsoons here in Pofftown. Sometimes people make jokes about it, but we don't actually have monsoons. Monsoons are a long period with lots and lots and lots of rain for part of their climate and weather system that other parts of the world have. So when that happens, animals, when we talked about our animal adaptations, they have to move. And so these animals, when they're on the move, these elephants, rhinos, and tigers are crossing a big highway. So this park has plans in the works to build a pathway beneath it. So have they built it yet? No, not at least when this article is written. They have plans in the works. They're planning it. They're getting organized. All right, whoops. Under construction. Safe pathways for wildlife have been built in several U.S. states, including Arizona, Utah, and Wyoming. In Washington state, Garvey Darda is part of a major project. He's helping to design a set of about 20 wildlife crossings. Banff has been the best model for us, she says. The Washington state crossings are being built along a 15-mile stretch of Interstate 90, I-90. So we have I-40 that runs through here. Up in Washington, they have I-90, one of the country's longest highways. This section of the highway cuts across Cascade Mountain Range. It has disrupted the migration patterns of animals in the area. All right, so we talked about migration when we talked about animal adaptations way back in the fall, right? And we know that's when they move from one place to another so that their needs can be met. Maybe there's more food resources here or water resources here or whatever it is that they migrate. And this I-90 has disrupted their migration plans. Again, we have another stem in here, right? This meaning away, right? So disrupted it. It's caused a problem with it. They can't just keep going unless they go across the highway, right? In progress. An overpass for wildlife is being built on I-90 in 2016. So this is 4 years ago. Maybe it's done. This highway runs through Washington state. Construction of the 20 crossings is expected to be completed by 2029. So far, 6 underpasses and 1 overpass have been built. Garvey Darda says these crossings have already made a difference for migrating animals. We now have close to 5,000 deer and elk going through the undercrossings. I want you to pay attention to a grammar thing here. Whether you have 1 deer or 5,000 deer, whether you have 1 elk or 5,000 elk, it's still elk, right? You have 1 cow and you have 5,000 cows. You have 1 dog and 5,000 dogs. But deer and elk have their own special rules. And so just like moose and fish. And so it's just 1 elk, 1 deer, 5,000 deer, 5,000 elk. You don't add the S there. Sorry, Ms. Boone's blowing up my phone. All right. Let me turn that down. Okay. So 5,000 deer elk going through the undercrossing. She says all these animals were potential accidents. What does it mean that they were potential accidents? Were they like supposed to get hit? Did somebody want to hit them? What happened there? Potential accidents. Exactly. Potential accident means that they could have been hit, right? They were crossing the road and they could have been hit. It was possible. But now that they are not having to cross the roads, now that they are using these undercrossings, it eliminates that for them, at that part at least. This spring, Washington locals can volunteer to plant vegetation on the I-90 overpass, Garvey Darda says. The plants will encourage animals to including her beloved pika, to use the crossings. It's important to be proactive, she says, and not wait until a species is endangered. All right, let's unpack that paragraph there, right? This spring, Washington locals can volunteer to plant vegetation on the I-90 overpass. Garvey Darda says the plants will encourage animals, including her beloved pika, to use the crossings. It is important to be proactive, she says, and not wait until the species is endangered. So how would vegetation, we know vegetation means plants, how would that encourage the animals to use it? So let's think about it. If you're an animal and you eat plants or you live amongst plants or you sleep and hide amongst plants, and you could cross a hot asphalt highway, or you could cross a nice hilly slope over the highway where there's plants and vegetation, things for you to eat, things that are more comfortable on your paws and your hooves, and things where maybe you could take a little nap, then that seems more appealing. That's something you would want to do, right? And they're working on this. They're being proactive. They're trying to solve this problem before it's too big of a problem, before the species are endangered, which I know y'all know so much about because y'all did such an amazing job with your animal studies unit in the fall. All right, so boys and girls, I want you to go back through, read this article on your own now that we have unpacked it, and then there is going to be a Flipgrid question for you to answer about today's article. Thanks, boys and girls. Have a great day.